Preventing Head Injuries on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable convenes. There'll be lots of controversy to talk about, so I hope you'll stay tuned for that. We'll talk about conventions and tourism and all sorts of things. We'll introduce you to a new winery, which I think is important, and we'll tell you about a big celebrity coming to the area for a good cause. But first, we start out on a serious note, talking about head trauma for one thing, and even worse, talking about pediatric head trauma. And what is it, and how can we prevent it? The man who's helping to facilitate this conversation is seated next to me, our good friend, Lori Bates, our director. Let's see, David Daggett. Of course, he's been on the show before, but he had the idea to have this as a topic, and I really appreciate that. David, of course, attorney with Daggett Shuler Law Firm. And next to him is our friend who's been on the show as well about a year or so ago, Bob Gfeller, is executive director and CEO of the Childress Institute for Pediatric Trauma. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Bob, let me start out with you. Tell us about the Institute and its mission very quickly.
Sure. So the Childress Institute has been in existence since 2008, and it focuses on prevention and care for severely injured children. And these are children that are injured in car accidents, sporting accidents, outdoor accidents, quite frankly, child abuse. And so we are a research and educational institute.
Just for people who may not know, how would you define quickly, how would you define pediatric head trauma? What would you say?
Right. So to a parent, a traumatic incident is an injury that's severe enough to a child that it requires hospitalization, surgery, and rehabilitation. So it's a really big injury.
Bob, this is something we didn't really get into too much when you came a year or so ago, and I thought it was appropriate, David, bringing you here today, because I want to ask you why this is so personal to you.
Sure. Well, this is personal to me because in 2008, our third child, Matthew Gfeller, he actually passed away after he sustained a traumatic brain injury playing high school football at Reynolds High School. And so he had a severe brain bleed, and he just didn't make it. So it's very personal being with the Childress Institute and helping the cause.
What kind of I don't mean this in a crass way, but what kind of an edge does this give you to succeed, to help the other kids that you see on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. Well, what I tell people, Jim, is I don't want anybody to have to walk in my shoes. So my goal is to help with prevention and help with care for, again, severely injured kids.
David, you've been very supportive, and I know you told me off camera you and Bob have known each other for what?
Close to 30 years.
30 years. Bob, my condolences. Dave, you've been very supportive of Brenner Children's Hospital and also the Childress Institute for a very long time. Why?
Well, kids are important to all of us. Kids are our future. Children and families, that's probably the most important thing in life. And Bob and his work's really touched me.
I think you told me on the phone one day that you had helped with something called a donut run. What was that all about?
Right. One of the biggest fundraisers for the Childress Institute is that three of Matthew's friends wanted to start an event that Matthew would have liked. So Lisa and Bob started the Matt Gfeller donut
So
run.
did Matthew like donuts?
Oh, he loved donuts. And he'd mash them and chew them anytime he could. He loved them.
So this year, Bob got me to help announce the finish line. I announce a lot of races, announce at the finish line. I had over 900 runners this year, raised, $65,000?
Yep.
Just a terrific event, a lot of fun, brings the community together, raises some money, creates awareness for a terrific cause. Just a super, super event.
And of course, this is not a commercial for Daggett Shuler, but I just want to get a plug in for the fact that in your work, you see things where people have been injured. So obviously, this means something special to you to help with Bob's events and things, right?
Well, we do, and it gives us an acute understanding of how important our children are and how important families are, and having supportive structures in our community is something that really makes our community better. The Childress Institute's certainly a big, big piece of that.
Bob, David mentioned the money that was raised on the fun event, the donut run, but on a serious note, and we're going to put up a couple websites very quickly, but how can people help support on a day-to-day basis with funds or making donations, and where does that money go?
Absolutely. So the Childress Institute website is saveinjuredkids.org. If you go to our website, we keep it up to date daily. You'll learn about the research we're doing, the educational programs we're doing, quite frankly, how we're doing good work in Washington to advocate for more pediatric trauma care. And so you can come to our website. We are certainly always looking for volunteers when our events come up and running, which you can find on the website, so saveinjuredkids.org.
And I also put up, just as a courtesy too, to show the DaggettShulerLaw.com website where you can learn all about the services that David and Griff and their fine staff offer to the public, because they do a lot in helping people who have been in situations beyond their control. And Bob is trying to help people who have been in situations and also educate people to keep them out of those situations. And I don't know if I fumbled over that or not, but I tried to.
Well, they're also doing leading edge research.
Exactly.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, Bob, come back sometime and let's talk about the research too.
I'd love to. Thank you.
And our thanks again to David and Daggett Shuler for doing that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, Bob. Thank
Good to
you.
see you too.
We'll be right back after this.
Accidents and serious injuries happen, and the effects can be devastating. The whole family suffers.
There are many details to handle after an accident. That's why you need an experienced injury attorney. At Daggett Shuler, we'll talk with you for free, handle every detail of your case, and fight to get you the maximum recovery. And if you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
You can depend on Daggett Shuler.
Call 724-1234 now.
You can depend on us.